Hi, I'm Susan Shie. I live in Worcester, Ohio, and my piece in Quilt National 21 is Annie and John, the Seven of Paring Knives in the Kitchen to Row, which is a long series I started in 1998, and it has 78 quilts in it. This piece is really about the coronavirus epidemic, and it was made from early May to early September last year, 2020, back when we had no concept of a vaccine in the future yet. We knew they were working on it, but we had no idea when they'd get it made. So I started out writing, well, first of all, I made sketches. I did some research and I made some sketches. And one sketch led to another, and then I looked back at them and kind of chose how I wanted to work. Fired up my Aztec double action airbrush with black paint on my 60 by 48 inch piece of cloth, white cloth. And I didn't want to look at the sketches while I was working with the paint and drawing, because I always want my images to look fresh and be fresh. So if I forgot something, where it went, I could go peek at the sketch, but not keep looking at it, not copy from it. Then after I made all the lines and heat set them, then I used the airbrush again to put in all the colors. And after that, we're talking several days' time now. After that, it was time to take it down off the wall. And well, no, before that, I put in the large lettering with the airbrush. So just like this piece behind me, you can see the large lettering has airbrush lines, and then the small lettering, I've gone to using Posca acrylic paint markers. I used to use an air pen to do that and put acrylic paint through a syringe, a medical syringe with a little compressor attached to it. And that is very hard on my wrists, and I've broken both of my arms at the wrist in the last 6 years, so I eventually quit using the air pen, and now I use the markers instead. So after I got all the colors in, did the big writing, I started working on the small writing, and I'll tell you now just what I wrote about. I wrote about things like the two main characters in the piece, who are John Prine, the folk singer who died in April from coronavirus last year, 2020, at age 73, and Annie Glenn, who is the wife of astronaut and U.S. Senator from Ohio, John Glenn, and she died in May of coronavirus at age 100. I chose the two of them because I thought they were very loving, lovable national figures, and I wanted to have markers like that to show, everybody. No one is going to get out from under the risk of this. No matter how famous you are or not famous, everybody was an equal opportunity person to get it. And so I wrote about them, I researched them. I put John Glenn in Annie's arms because I read somewhere someone said that John Glenn could have never been John Glenn without Annie Glenn, because she was so supportive of him. And they knew each other as best friends from the time they were toddlers in a playpen, and they stayed best friends all their lives. And he had passed away just a few years before her. I also put a spaceship up above John Prine's head because I think it was a good symbol to show that the pandemic is like a science fiction, a bad novel, a bad sci-fi movie that we're all stuck in. And so it's kind of beaming down over everything, hovering there. And around that, behind all of them at the top and all the blue background, is an article by a man named Franklin Veau, V-E-A-U, who is an expert on this kind of thing like pandemics, and he wrote a big essay early on explaining to people that if only 1% of us die from it, it is too a big deal, because it's the people who don't die but live the rest of their lives with permanent conditions that he focused on, and giving terrible statistics to really scare you into please believing this is not a hoax, this is not a political football, this is real, and you don't want to get it. So, like even I put the Statue of Liberty behind me, and she's in her mask, and she's holding her tablet, and it says something about your teeming masses aching to breathe free, please wear your mask. I think I said aching to breathe free of coronavirus, please wear your mask. So I keep pushing this to the people looking at it. Let me see. Our favorite weatherman in Northeast Ohio, Dick Goddard, died of coronavirus in 2020. A very lovable person who was like really famous outside of Ohio. Like all the NOAA people knew him. Besides being Annie and John, this is also the 7 of paring knives in the tarot deck. The tarot deck, it's really swords, but in the kitchen tarot, it's paring knives because I didn't want them to be weapons. I wanted them to be a useful tool. They are the trunks of palm trees that are peace palms. And I see them as useful in helping to make food for those you love. I put things in here like when Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate for the presidential race. I wrote a lot about that day. I was very excited and told all about her. I put in about how they were scheming to slow down the mail because they didn't want the mail-in ballots to get through in time for the election to count. So they destroyed a whole bunch of the sorting machines at the post office all across the country, and we still haven't come out from under that. Your bills don't get to the company on time, and you get your next statement has 2 bills worth of your electric bill or whatever on it. So the 7 of paring knives, I want to jump back to that. The sevens are symbol your soul and spirituality. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about is the eyes, because people always ask me why I put these extra eyes on people. The Hindus and the Buddhists use eyes. The third eye, the chakra here, is called the brow chakra, and that's where you access your inner thinking or your soul. And I invented an eye to go down in your throat, and that's the chakra. The throat chakra is where you communicate. So my idea is that you go into your soul and then you communicate out to the world with a more spiritual self, which ties back into the 7. And then one more thing I want to tell you is that the border of the piece is a huge letter that John Lewis wrote. John Lewis, the congressman who was big on civil rights and social justice. He died last year at age 80 on July 17th. And he wrote a letter, an op-ed letter to the New York Times, and asked them to please publish this letter the day of his funeral, and they did, and 3/4 of it is written on the border of that quilt, and you can just Google the rest of it, but it's very, very meaningful to me. And the writing on the hairdos of John and Annie in this piece, Annie's hairdo says, "Make me an angel who flies from Montgomery," and that's John Lewis in my mind, because he lived near Montgomery when he was a child. And he is an angel. And on John Prine's hair, it says, "Just give me one thing that I can hold on to," which is another line from the song Angel from Montgomery. And that line to me signifies the angst that we all have, having to live in this pandemic. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. So I better be quiet and let you go. Thank you.